Hello and welcome to Epic Loot Radio. I'm your host Brian, and joining me we have a stacked panel of some of the best content creators here on the internet. And whether you've heard of them or not, you should definitely go give them a follow. Today's podcast we're going to be 100% focusing in on Outriders and all the information that just dropped 1 week later from the demo. This seems so differently, so there is a level of hype that I have. There's definitely a level of bias that I'm bringing to the show itself, and maybe somebody here on the panel will temper me out. If not, I'm sure you guys in the comments will let me know as well, live and or after the archive. But let me go ahead and introduce our panel of guests, and we're going to talk about what we're playing, thoughts on Outriders, if we've gotten all the legendaries or if we've gotten, nothing. It depends on your luck, on your rolls. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce the panel that we've got for y'all today, and then we're going to dive in chapter by chapter to this. Now, as just a general show note, if you guys have not seen, all these podcasts are actually now also in MP3 form. Link is in the description if you'd like to go check out the audio version on Spotify, but you can find it on everywhere podcasts are distributed. So first things first, Vulkan, the new dad, congratulations. Thanks for making it on the show. He looks like he's had 3 cups of coffee already this morning. And how is it going? Why don't you tell people about yourself who don't know about your content, and then we'll just go around in a circle.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. My channel is 100% focused on loot-based games. That's looter shooters, action RPGs, games like Diablo, Path of Exile, Outriders, Destiny. And I've been at this for a couple years. It's been a blast, learned a lot, and all this Outriders hype and everything has just been great. So so once again, appreciate having me on the show.
Dude, and thanks to you guys in the community who recommended Vulkan. Vulkan, your videos never came up in my feed, and somebody's like, you got to talk to Vulkan, and you make some amazing content. So guys, keep your recommendations coming. That is essentially kind of a big driving factor. So if you love Vulkan and his content, be sure to tell people about him. That's the best way you can say thanks for the content and the work that he does. But again, dad to dad, congratulations. You got yourself, another player 3 right now.
I know.
So raise them right, and in a couple years you'll be raiding together. So that'll be pretty exciting.
For legendaries.
Absolutely, yeah. Or get them to work while you're at work, or something
exactly.
like that. Yeah, it's like that's the long con.
The best is they work for pennies.
Yeah,
exactly.
Johny, I'm going to go to you before we go to Chaos and Soro. Welcome back, Johny, guys. If you aren't following his content, I think you were in the 200s, now in the 300s. We're trying to get him to 1,000 subscribers. His link's in the description, and the reason why I want him at 1,000 is kind of selfish. I can hit the @ tag on YouTube, so that actually opens up me to help me out a lot. So, guys, be sure to go give Johny a follow. Johny, what's going on? How has life been for the last couple weeks?
It's been pretty good. Yeah, just been, trying to hone in the content, get things streamlined so that way I can crank out the content a little faster. Been recreating some assets, and just been enjoying the Outriders demo so far.
All right, Chaos, dude, life is treating you good. You're looking healthy. We've gotten over the Anthem, loss here, and we can move on into the greener pastures. How is life, dude?
Life is good. It is Outridersing. I've been doing a lot of that. I think I've played 25, almost 30 hours of Outriders
of a demo. And I'm still addicted, right?
And it's just and I've only just tried 2 characters. I've been playing a lot of Outriders, and in my other time, I've been playing a bit of Persona 5. But generally, it's just looter shooters for me. It's just that I can't put down. I can't really put a nail on it, but as of my channel, everything on my channel at this present time is looter shooter related, and it's going good.
Who's here glad he didn't name his channel like Anthem something? Like, don't be naming yourself after a game. You guys never know. So if anybody's out there, I'm going to make an Outriders channel.
One of the first things I didn't do. I mean, I will openly say that I was considering it because I was in love with the whole E3 presentation, and even when the game came out, despite the issues, I was still enjoying it, and I did enjoy it, and I kept my promise to cover it until the bitter end. But that chapter is now officially closed, and a new chapter very next day opened up, providing new horizons and new opportunities. So Outriders for me is doing really, really well at the moment.
Now, Eddie says he's got 91 and a half hours into the demo and that they need help. So the shout out to anybody here in live chat, or if you're watching this later, listening to this later, if you can beat Eddie, let me know. Let's see who's got the most time in this demo.
Yeah, I'm out.
I don't have 91 hours.
Me.
Nope.
I got.
Yeah.
If playing with my kids counted towards time on my Steam thing, then yeah, that'd be great. But no. I want to go to Soro right now. Soro, you you and I are really good friends. We play a lot of games together. I'm glad you're working from home because I was like, I want to bring Soro in this because we were running the PSO Radio podcast. If you guys haven't seen PSO Radio, because of its looter nature, we're going to go ahead and bring it into this so that there's just a little bit more streamlined in terms of that. Some news is on the horizon for PSO too, so we're excited to be covering that in a future podcast. But Sora, why don't you tell people who you are who might not have seen or heard you, and let's talk some more Outriders here in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, like Brian said, me and him been talking for a while, good friends and everything. Content creation has slowed down the last few months. Haven't been able to get on.
You bought a house and been moving and doing the real
house
work
at the beginning of the year and everything. So there's that. But I play, Final Fantasy, Destiny, now Outriders, a couple, single player games every now and then. But just pretty much anything that I find fun.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. It's the reason my channel is called Global Cooldown is because after work, that's all I want to do is just cool down.
Just relax.
Just relax.
I like
That's all it is. That's all I want my channel to be, and everything is just sitting down, chatting with people, and relaxing.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and dive in kind of the first thing. I'm going to go around the horn, talk about what we're playing. Obviously, I think Outriders is going to be a key essential spot, but if there's anything else you guys want to share, but if you're going to focus in on Outriders, I'd love to know what classes, and what's your takeaway. Again, I'm going to start with Vulkan. You're the freshman here on the show right now, but also a veteran of content creation. So hopefully that's not anything that comes off demeaning. What have you played in Outriders? What's your takeaway? Did anything shock you? Because I have something shocking for me when it comes to my turn. Go ahead.
Sure, yeah. So Outriders, really just playing all the classes, diving in and kind of picking them all apart. I'm still haven't decided on a main yet. I'm still kind of back and forth between Technomancer and Devastator.
Okay.
And so yeah, I've been playing that and then kind of bouncing outside of Outriders a little bit into Hero Siege, which is just like a pixel art looter, kind of Diablo 3-esque type thing. Great game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so from a shocking perspective, nothing really on Outriders, but I think I have probably just a little bit more of a a view behind the scenes a little bit. So nothing really for me. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Okay. Well, I'll come to me here in a second because it's interesting that you've got the Technomancer and the Devastator conversation. We'll talk about that. Chaos, dude, what's going on, man?
I've been doing a lot of Outriders for a demo that's probably the most I've ever played a demo. 25 to 30 hours, and I'm still going to jump into it after this, which is crazy. Originally, I started as a Trickster, which I really absolutely loved. And then in my last stream, I was introduced to Devastator, and I will say that it's going to take something special to take me away from the Devastator.
Okay.
There is just something very special about that class, and I am having an absolute ton of fun with the Devastator. It just doesn't want to go down, and I like that because I just run into everything, no matter what class I am.
Yeah.
Glass cannon or not, that's just my playstyle, and then I'm usually tanking the floor. With the Devastator, I'm no longer doing that.
That's fantastic. Johnny, what about you, dude?
I've been playing the Technomancer almost exclusively.
Any tricksters? Hold on, Johnny. Any tricksters or any pyromancers? Okay, thank God. I was like, did we just literally stack the panel with Trickster, Devastator? Okay, Johnny, continue, please. Go ahead.
No, I've been playing exclusively as Technomancer, trying to learn the ins and outs, and I've already got a build video up for the demo, which owns pretty bad. It's pretty badass. I've got my gauze run, of course, after the patch today, which actually it just went out, right? The patch did?
Patches up, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is not the big patch that we'll be covering, but they did a kind of a back-end patch. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, I got that down where I could run gauze in 10 seconds flat, sometimes a little less, sometimes just a little more, depending. But, yeah, so I'm already hitting the build, content already, and just been enjoying it,
All right, Sora, how about you, man? Thank God you raised your hand on Pyro Trickster. And Techno, go ahead. Pyro and whoever, let's go. Real professional show, yeah.
So I've been just exclusively on Trickster. There's going to be a lot to take me away from that. I just had so much fun with it, being able to just blink in, slow everybody down, and then take out just a group of mobs at once. It's just so much fun. Now I haven't been able to play a whole lot the past couple of days. I was out of town for work, but I want to pick it up again later tonight and tomorrow and everything, and try to get some of the legendaries and everything. What does kind of bum me out though is I pre-ordered on Stadia.
Okay.
And I've been playing on
your
Steam,
progress doesn't
so
carry
my
forward.
progress doesn't.
That
also,
is
at this point, all I'm doing is just going through and going, okay, what do I need to be able to do? What's the gameplay going to be like and everything? Just kind of getting myself ready for whenever.
That's the one thing that breaks my heart about the game, is that if it had cross prog or cross save, like I'd pick up 3 copies. I'd pick it up on Xbox. I'd pick it up on Steam. I would buy more copies, because then it's a little bit easier, because if people, one of the things that if you guys haven't seen in the game and you're watching this, trying to decide if you should pick it up, play the demo. It's a free demo. Your progress carries forward, but only on the platform that you're playing on. So Steam can't transfer to Xbox, but Xbox can go to Series X and PlayStation, etc. So just note that you do get forward prog on your same platform. But that all being said, is that it's easier to jump in with your friends on that platform. So if I'm on Steam and you're on Steam, you can just join me. We don't have to do anything else. There's no extra magic that has to happen. Otherwise, I can create a cross-party ID, and then you could join. Super easy. So barely an inconvenience, and I really enjoyed that setup. But it's still hey, is my friend online? There's no internal friends list to see oh, by the way, they're already online, we can friend them. So maybe that will be something we see future iterations or something like that. But I'm at least thankful it has crossplay. But I think cross save is a bummer. Is kind of a little bit of a light miss in this regards, just for sales numbers alone. But I want to talk about Devastator and Technomancer, because that was such a great point, Vulkan. I was between the two, and I was talking with some friends, and someone's like, I'll go Devastator. I was like, okay, well, I was between Trickster and Devastator. And in my mind, if I was going to rank the classes, it's Devastator, Trickster, Techno, and then Pyro for me personally. And where I won't play a Pyro unless I'm playing with people. I'm not going to play that class alone, but it's still powerful. I want a Pyro with me all the time. I just don't prefer that play style. So I'm not dogging any Pyros out there, because I literally want Pyro with me every time I'm playing multiplayer. But that all being said, I was so surprised by how much I love the Trickster that it became a battle between Trickster and Devastator. But just like you guys, that's what surprised me. I was like, oh, Trickster looks cool. And then you get that bubble, then you get that skeleton, and then you start comboing those abilities, especially on Devastator. Holy freaking crap. I think they nailed the classes and the combat. You're agreeing with the shake. And let's go, Vulkan. What you got any thoughts there?
No, I'm just saying I kind of had a similar sentiment. So when I first went into it, the Trickster was dead last on my list. I was like, I don't really like the rogue play styles, and I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Same thing with the Pyromancer. I'm typically not like a glass cannon type of person, and it really ended up being a class I enjoyed playing. But like you said, it's tough to almost play that class solo a little bit, with its healing ability. But in a group play, it just nukes things into the ground, which is awesome.
It's such an AoE mage. It's so great to be all right, let's get these things down. Now, Lidex says, will Stadia be in business when this game launches? What do you think, Soro? Stadia still going to be sticking around?
Unless we hear something in the next couple of weeks, I'm pretty sure they're still going to be around.
Yeah, I like the technology. I wouldn't mind a leadership change over there. We'll see what ultimately happens. That's the thing. I'd pick it up on Stadia. I have no problem with that.
I mean, between Stadia and Luna, I'd still choose Stadia any day of the week.
Well, Stadia is the fastest platform. If we're gonna, and I don't want to turn this into a cloud debate, but when it comes down to just the technology, Stadia has it nailed. Luna is getting there. xCloud is supposed to be going to 1080p soon, but still not on PC. So we'll start to see some real competition, some stuff heat up in that environment. But we'll see what Google does. It's still run and managed by Google, so you never know.
I mean, I love the Stadia.
Oh yeah.
I've had it for a few months now, and I really can't say anything bad about it. The performance is great. The streaming is perfect. The latency is non-existent. It's just great. I've had no problems at all. I've played a number of games on there. I just wish this game had cross-save, because I would have instantly bought it on there, and that would have been my platform of play more than any other platform, because the convenience alone is just amazing.
I've been playing this game in ultra wide, and that's the one thing that takes me out of cloud gaming in this case, because that's a feature that that is not offered. Playing Outriders on an ultra wide monitor is amazing, and that actually kind of gets us into kind of the core crux of what today's topic is going to be about. We're going to be focusing in on the 1 week later post that they've had. If you guys haven't seen, over a week has gone by, and they're going to be patching the demo. And one of the things that as I perused it before I made my video on it, was, hey, they're actually taking out the motion blur. Motion blur is, I deal with it, right? It's just like, I know they're fixing it, but they're going to be patching the demo. And then actually, as you break down the rest of the information, it's massive in terms of everything else they're offering. So let's go ahead and navigate now. Did anybody not get an opportunity to talk about like their class and things like that? I don't want to just sit here and just move on and somebody had something to add. Everybody's looking quietly. Nobody's doing anything. All right, we're great. Let's go ahead and dive now into the post, the 1 week later post. And we're going to break this down kind of by chapters themselves. So if you guys, if there's something that specifically speaks out to you, just let me know and we can have some fun here. But I'm going to go ahead and read it, and then we'll just kind of go down the panel. I got us ordered, I think, in a fun order. And if anybody needs to get, just let me know. All right. So it says, hello, everyone. It's hard to believe that this week has already flown by since we last released the Outriders demo to the world. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much to everyone who's already taken the first step into the world of Outriders. Since the demo's launch, they've closely watched over 2 million players download and play this game. What's your thoughts there? 2 million. Is that bigger than you expected or lower than expected? Go ahead, Vulkan.
Bigger, to be honest with you. Because it's a demo. That's the thing that kind of blew me away.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2 million players is wild. I was trying to think back when Destiny entered its open beta, and how many players downloaded that in order to play it. I couldn't find the number, but I think it was up there. So I think in terms of comparing those two games, Outriders is sticking with it, which is great.
All right. Anybody else have a thought on the number alone? Like, does it feel like 2 million players are playing this game right now?
I actually haven't. Go ahead, Chaos.
No, I was just going to say, on my friends list on PlayStation, almost everyone is playing it, which is really nice to see. And yeah, 2 million to me is more than I was expecting, considering the recent, fiascos we've had with live service games. I know this isn't a live service game, and they keep saying that.
We're going to put quotes around that, though. Yeah.
I was expecting a lower number, with just the fact that people wouldn't be as trusting as they were, but over 2 million is really, really healthy.
Yeah. The thing that I see a lot, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen it in your videos, people were like, why are people still playing the demo? And then they're surprised that your progress carries forward, and then I think they go back to playing. It's like, oh, okay, because typically, like, am I just kind of testing it? Let me know when it's ready. But it's like players are actively farming. If you go look at the Steam charts, like, there is a healthy population playing this game every day right now. And on a demo, like earlier we were kind of saying, like right now 90 plus seems to be the max amount of hours that somebody has been willing to share publicly on a podcast with us. So it's like, it's pretty impressive to sit here and take that. And I think the thing that speaks to me is I love the farm. I love the grind. And that my progress carries forward. I'm just having fun. There's a content creation side of it. So my content creator hat's like, oh yeah, I'm playing because maybe I'll be able to get something out of this and help somebody enjoy this game. But then at the same time, I'm like, this is legitimately fun. I am legitimately having a good time. Not that everybody has to agree with that mindset. I've seen plenty of people coming in, game sucks, game looks like garbage, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, thanks for taking time out of your day to give an opinion, like on a game, fine, like great. I'm sure there are people that you can go be friends with. So, All right, let's continue on. Demo launch 1 week, the story so far. As you remember, we launched the demo last Thursday. Of course, who could forget that? For the first few short hours, there were some connectivity issues that impacted players trying to access the game. And they cut the long story short, they basically planned their infrastructure to scale, but they got overwhelmed by even the sheer number, so they couldn't scale fast enough. Since then, they made changes to the back-end experience, so not to repeat this particular issue when the game launches. They've kept everyone updated via Twitter. I honestly thought that the situation felt as smooth as could be. Soro, I want to go to you. Like, when did you get a dive into this game? Were you there at launch, or did you come in and play it later?
So I don't know if I was in chat with you or you started streaming it and everything. I was in. Yeah, I was watching. Was able to download at 12 noon Eastern and get in. Got to like right before you get your power, and then it crashed. And then everybody's like, "Oh well, I can't get in." So, well, it happens. It's a demo that everybody's excited about. People are getting in. This is gonna happen. So I'll just wait till later. I'll wait till later to play it.
Johny, did you have any issues getting connected when you started to play?
Yeah, only for about the first 45 minutes. And actually, that was one of the key things that I was really super impressed about because not to open sore wounds, but, the example I gave in my last patch video, Anthem, you couldn't play for 3 days after launch. It was absolutely atrocious and nothing really changed from whenever they had the closed betas in Anthem. I played in both of those. So for the fact that not only were they transparent, they updated immediately on their Twitter that they were, giving you an update on the server, scaling up and stuff. And literally most of the issues started getting resolved after about 45 minutes. I thought that was absolutely incredible. They did a fantastic job.
Is it acceptable that as gamers that we allow companies to continue to have these kind of launches? Shouldn't they just expect this kind of rush? Like, that's the thing I commonly hear, and I'd like to know your thoughts. Let's start with Johny, and then we'll go to Chaos.
I mean, everybody's entitled, right, to a certain extent. And gamers, we're a selfish breed, We wants the game now. We wants it, So, the hype is always real, and it always gets away from us to realize that technology has its limitations. Even some of the fastest servers out there still have to take time to scale up. They're generating a database in the background. They're trying to handle all these processes in the background. And you've got, the whole bandwidth issue, too. Who knows how much bandwidth they had allocated to their servers at the time. So whenever you look at the number, 2 million, there weren't 2 million at the very beginning, but I watched the Steam charts from the very beginning, and man, like as far as games go, that the Steam charts were just ramping up like crazy. Like it was unbelievable the amount of simultaneous connections that were just getting flowed through Steam charts alone. And then you take on the fact that it's across all these platforms, not just Steam. Like I was like, oh, okay. I guarantee you they're bugging out over there on their end. So for the fact that a lot of these issues, at least on PC, the Steam client anyway, got resolved within 45 minutes to an hour, and they really started ramping up. I mean, it was really incredible and a true testament to their technical side of things.
Chaos?
I think it's okay. I don't think they expected there to be as many players as there was, but you can never gauge too much. I mean, if you look at MMOs in like Final Fantasy 14, their launches generally are a little bit rocky because, as Yoshi P made a statement once, they may get an influx of players, but within a couple of days, that dies down, and buying those servers costs a lot of money, and then having them empty just isn't worthwhile. So I think it's okay because, when the initial rush is always going to create a bottleneck. You need to expect that. That's always going to happen in an online game. I mean, just look at Destiny when they were releasing their patch. Some guy recorded himself breaking his TV because the servers were down. There's crazy people out there, but
did his video go viral because maybe he was able to do that and then get a new TV because of the video getting millions of views?
I don't know what it was, but you need to expect it. I mean, I tuned into your stream when it went because I was still working, and while I was lurking there, I just saw it went down, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll come back in about an hour or so. It should be fine by then." Yeah. But I just left myself lurking while I was just working away. And yeah, I came back an hour later and everything was nice and dandy, ready for me to jump in and enjoy it. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, as somebody who's worked in technology pretty much his whole career, it doesn't bother me at all. Now, I say that with the asterisk of as soon as somebody launches like a big game that's got a lot of hype and people are excited to play it without any problems, that becomes the standard. So right now, like, oh, you mean a company like, okay, yeah, they got bum rushed and that's great, and then they got it fixed within a little bit of time, and after the course of a week, nobody cares because you're able to get in and play. And it just, I guess, that initial reaction, oh, they should have it fixed. Okay, yeah, fair enough. As soon as somebody figures it out, that will become the standard, and then we can always point to that and say, go learn these lessons. This is what they did. This is how they did it, just as a case study. So since that has yet to happen, I'm kind of like, well, no one's figured it out how to launch one of these like games that are either surprisingly popular or just, hey, guess what? Servers had a hard time. We had to spin up the databases. We had to spin up the instances. And the thing is that it worked to scale, and it got them the information they need so that, like on launch, if launch doesn't have that problem, totally worth it because they got the information they need. But I would still anticipate at launch on April 1st, it's going to happen. And so as a content creator who's planning on playing and streaming, I'll have a backup while it struggles. Like, always have a backup plan. Don't be like these people scheduling work off for Cyberpunk 2077. No. Let's let's be legit reasonable. Have a backup. If you do decide to take off work, you got a backup plan. Have a backup. You just have something that you're going to pivot to that you want to do just as much rather than sit around and try to hit F5 on your keyboard, because that's no fun in that regards. All right. So yeah, and by the way, keep sure that you're following them on Twitter, because that's really you're going to get up to time information. That way you'll be informed of what's going on. So guys, what's next? What's their plan for the demo? Plans for the demo? They're going to do something here? Oh, they're going to patch it. Like, this is mind blowing, right? Like, am I wrong?
I mean, no, it shows intent. It shows clear intent that they're here for the long haul to support whatever the game has to throw at them. And they're taking player feedback seriously, which is really great to see.
Yeah, I agreed. So let's go ahead and talk about what they're doing, and we'll focus in on this whole section, and then I'm going to get y'all's thoughts on it. Guys, motion blur toggle to all platforms. We did it.
Yes.
Vulkan, what are your thoughts here?
I'm really excited for them to add this. My recent video I was talking about this a lot, and they originally stated that this is coming to the full game. So don't worry, it's coming. But the problem is people are playing the demo, and if they don't follow all of the social media outlets, then they're not going to know that. Mm-hmm. And they're just going to assume that motion blur is going to be insane when the full game comes out too, and people will write it off. A friend of mine has really bad motion sickness, and he couldn't play at all because of it. So he's really excited this is being added. That way he can actually play the game and enjoy it.
I think it's a great thing that they're doing as a part of it, because we all been told that it's coming, right? Mm-hmm. But adding it into the demo, having that kind of turnaround to say, here you go, because people kind of hacked it. So I thought it was like, it's somewhat reasonable. It's low hanging fruit, in my opinion. Or they're like, oh yeah, let's just add that in. Being that they were planning on adding it for the first, but bringing it sooner will give players, all of us, the ability to do that. And Necro says, meanwhile, Avengers, yeah, it's been a little while on that one. Like, oh my god, oof. Like, come on, like, devs, learn your lesson in that regards. All right, let's. Anybody else on motion blur? Anybody else get sick?
Yeah, I suffer severe motion sickness. So thankfully, when I posted that on Reddit, someone posted a code that you can put on Steam within a certain section within where you manage your files and stuff. It's really simple, and you can't do anything wrong with it. You just paste that into it, and it disables motion blur. So I've had mine disabled for a couple of days now, and it's been absolutely amazing.
That's good.
You guys are in for a treat when you get to see it.
On an ultra wide, I don't notice it as much, and that's actually one of the things that I've really enjoyed about the experience, because I don't mind. Like one of the things, I don't mind a little blur on the outside going. You can't see me because I'm highlighting comment. So there we go.
Cranked it up high.
It's like, and then but like on that 1080, I'm like, and then in combat, and it only really seemed to bug me in the cities, because I felt like maybe that's just kind of where it was more like tuned up. But at the core of it, I'm so excited, because that's the number. Like, a lot of people, motion blur and the shaky cam are the two of the biggest kind of like major complaints when it comes to the core of the game. And the fact that people will now be able to update the demo and see what it's like without motion blur, I think that's really, really a solid move. They've also made minor tweaks to the frame rate output in certain cutscenes. So they think this is going to help with a little bit of the shaky cam, but they're still like, they got to go look into more. Like, I didn't think the shaky cam was going to be a patch. Somebody clearly was like, let's make it like we're in the streets, or, like we're right there. Like, this is found footage of this guy. And then, like, it's like skip. Go ahead and get Sora.
I kept getting just cut frames during any of the cutscenes. Mm-hmm. Like, it'd go through and then it would just jump. Like, I don't understand why we're just doing that, but okay then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Anybody else on the shaky cam cutscenes? Nobody? All right, great. Cool. All right, great. Additional resolutions that really only apply to PC. Crash that repeatedly occurred with menus. I expect like bug fixes and all that. That will also continue to improve because, in the course of game development, that iteration. On Xbox, they fixed menu prompts not displaying correctly and supporting non-English languages, and on PlayStation, they fixed the buy link, and different things like that. One of the things I don't know if y'all saw, but like at launch, PlayStation was a little bit behind the scenes. Like it was, people couldn't download the game on PlayStation. That was a little bit delayed. So a lot of my chat was, "Hey, how do I download the game? I'm on PlayStation." And I was like, I don't know what happened there, but eventually they got that worked out. So Chaos, you're gonna say something?
I know. I was gonna say, PlayStation fixing that buy now button, real high priority right there.
Well, yeah.
It really
Sales on PlayStation are just oddly low.
I mean, that was like block of priority right there within Jira.
Yeah, exactly. So what happened just now, like if you guys haven't seen, they did some background maintenance and they've updated the game in part. So that's what they're talking about right here for this section. And then we're going to talk about the loot changes that are coming. So background update to the demo. It's like, well, Brian, you can't read and you speak. How about we put you on YouTube? That's a great idea, Brian. The change should be quite seamless, and I think it pretty much was. So some of these changes specifically related to enemies are in response to feedback that we got coming from players, as well as our own background metrics. So other changes, they're intending to only affect the demo, but may not be implemented in the full launch build, and they kind of decipher this as we go forward through the post. We would like to issue an explanatory note of caution before we go into these changes. While we have balanced the main game with certain progression systems in mind, this progression may be impacted by heavy farming and or gear of the mods in the demo. Some players are front-loading a lot of that progression right now, and some players they're front-loading the progression, such in trying to fill their mod library and acquire multiple legendaries. Guilty. Within the demo content already, their experience of parts of the main game may be impacted. Yeah, I would not be shocked by that. Of course, it's every player's decision on how to play the game for themselves, and we do not want to prevent people from farming the demo for gear that they enjoy. However, we would like to ensure that the progression is not overly simplistic. So, they're going to go into some changes here. I like that. I like that they're not like, oh my god, people are being gamers and they're trying to like break the game. They're being cool about it. I appreciate that. Anybody else like worried about like people going in with full legendary sets into on the first?
No, in my last video, I thought it was kind of funny. I think it's kind of silly that they didn't expect gamers, or kind of lead to that they didn't expect gamers to be gamers. It's a looter. We all play looters. We're here for the loot. If you're going to tell us that our progression is going to carry over, naturally we're gonna farm. We're gonna farm our little butts off.
Mm-hmm. And we found a lot of different breaks, right? Like essentially, when we talk about the theme about what's changing, like the loot chest, just like constantly just reloading the loot chest, like that in my mind is a little bit not in the spirit of fun and farming, right? You're like, just reset, go to lobby, do the chest. You're not like fighting anything. You're not killing anything. I personally didn't do that. My video really focusing on, hey, everybody's is a chance to drop. If you think about that, it's all about the combat. And so let's talk about now the changes, and then I want to get y'all's thoughts. So we'll focus in on kind of this in three sections. We'll talk about captains first, and then we'll just move down. All right, changes to captains. The captain mob ability Healing Light will have its effectiveness reduced. The captain mob ability Fresh from the Ashes and Phoenix Aura will have their cooldowns increased. And some players were finding it hard to fully kill the captains who would trigger these abilities, making for frustration rather than a challenging but fun encounter. Did they just nerf captains to all get out? What do you think, Vulkan?
I don't think so. I think the Healing Light ability is basically like lay on hands from a paladin perspective. So
nice. I love that you bring it. Yeah, fantasy. I love it. Go ahead.
So yeah, if you're not kind of managing your interrupts or anything like that, then you can get down to 1% health, and then they're going to full heal back to 100%. And I can see that being frustrating because this game is very go, and having to re-kill the captain multiple times is not fun either. The From the Ashes thing, I don't think that's as big of a deal. I think that's a mechanic that some folks might have not have realized that it's a timed buff. So when you cast it, it sits on their nameplate for I think 10 seconds, and then it'll fall off.
Mhm.
And at that point, you can clear them. So it's really just kind of get them down 10%, clear some trash mobs, go back, clean them up, and then move on. But the healing light one, I know that was frustrating for many times. Many times.
Stun it, let's go.
Yes,
Oh,
like
man.
just unlock them, let's go. But yeah, so I'm glad to see that one reduced. Now I'm curious if it's going to be like 80% heal or if it's gonna be 20%. Like what? It's
I
going
like
to
how
be.
the captains offer a challenge, but I guess
Yes.
the numbers are going to be Chaos. What about you, man?
Which ability is it where it turns into a ball of fire, where you can't touch him, then he comes back as fully healed?
From
Which
the
ability
ashes.
is that? From the ashes.
Yep.
So I had a problem where I went to him. He wasn't even. I mean, he would start a cooldown, but the cooldown, like the bar going across, would be almost instant to the point where I couldn't. Every time I got him down to 10%, it would instantly trigger, and I took him down almost 12 times, I think. And then I just gave up and went back. I'm not sure if that was a bug or whatever, but as soon as it hit that 10%, I would follow it up with a ground slam to stun him. Nothing would affect him. He'd go straight back into it. That was probably the most frustrating thing I had, but I have heard from a few people that they found those bosses a little difficult, so I think the changes are okay, and I think they were needed. I don't think they're going to nerf them down to the ground, but I think they'll give people a few more seconds here and there to make it a little more accessible to players.
Mhm.
Give them a little more of that thinking time and reaction time that they need.
Death Monkey says the captain boss was the worst. That he ran out of ads to kill, to heal, like because you got to kill to heal,
Yeah.
and so as a part of it,
Yes.
like you got to sit here and you got to kind of plan that accordingly. And when it's just like Goss, where it's just him, like you will heal a little bit as a part of kind of like a smaller section of the bar. So you do have to at that point use some cover and kind of think through that. But yeah, that was actually kind of a challenge whenever it would ultimately reset. What about you, Johnny? What was your expectation, review of the captains itself?
And I mean, all honesty, I never had any issues with the captains. I played co-op mostly through most of the demo. I didn't solo a whole lot. I think out of the 32 and a half hours I played, I may have, I don't know, maybe 3 hours solo, if that. And that was only just to capture like game footage, you know, for my build and stuff like that. But I did, you know, have some good ears within the the official Discord. I try to stay out of official Discords because a lot of big egos in those places, and I don't tolerate it very well. But you know, my guys that back me up in my Discord, you know, they kind of let me know, hey, you know, there's a lot of these issues going on. There's a lot of this drama going on, so forth. So, so yeah, you know, I like that type of, you know, passive intake of information. You know what I mean? Let them deal with that drama. I don't like it. But yeah, I mean, I think that the changes they made to the captains is overall good for the community, because I know that there were definite issues with you know, some players, like I said in my video last time, you know, skill caps for people. You know, not everybody plays the games the same. You know, some players are just naturally better than others, and if, you know, you toss in RNG with that, you know, maybe they're not getting the drops to, you know, give themselves a good build. Maybe it's mismatched or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I think that they handled the changes very well, and I think they were very appropriate.
So Soro, Icimo says the best part of the captains that they have various ability combinations. Have you experienced anything that was surprising to you?
I can't remember which captain or which boss it is, but I kept getting comboed with like a freeze, and then he would use the fire tornado or whatever.
That's a rough
And
one.
like you're just stuck there. You can't move, and you're just getting engulfed. Like, yeah, cool, awesome. I can't move. And then, I mean, what's nice about the trickster though is the shield.
Yeah.
So you know, you hit that shield, and then if that happens, you get frozen, and then you're caught in the fire and whatnot. You're okay for a little bit longer than usual,
that
but
freeze
it's
is
still gonna
annoying.
hurt.
That freeze is annoying. That like I don't mind being on fire because I can roll and roll. Freeze, it's like I can't use my abilities, I can't move, and then I'm like, I'm sure that's how my enemies feel, because like I love freeze bullets in that regard. Here's the thing. I don't think we've seen all the abilities that captains have. Every time I feel like we've seen all their abilities,
way.
I see a new one. if anybody here's a Diablo fan, which as a looter podcast, I would hope so. Otherwise, get out. But it's like I actually saw where they had the orbs of light spinning around the field, and they were like, I was like, holy crap! Like that was like when I thought I saw everything, I saw that, and that's when I knew we have no idea what they're about to throw at us. This is freaking exciting, and so I'm really thrilled by that. All right, so let's jump back in more to our changes. Okay, so those are the changes to captains. Goss changes. Goss is going to have his health points increased for repeat playthroughs. So your 10-second build guide there, Johnny's just going out the window, I guess. We'll see. I'm sure you'll rise to the challenge. This is to ensure that he remains fun and challenging for players who are overpowered at this point in the story. Kind of makes sense. Goss's healing ability and his ability Still Wall will actually be increased. So some minor changes there. I don't like Goss. I've only farmed him a little bit because I've actually had more fun farming the side quest than just kind of doing him on a chest repeat. But yeah, I'm excited to see that. I'm kind of curious because one of the things that I hope to see, and we've kind of seen it in the world tiers, is how they introduce new mechanics to the fights. And honestly, I hope that with Goss, as the world tiers go up, there's more of that. Not just like life, but like it would be neat to see if he ever got an ad phase or something like that or of that nature. But we'll ultimately have to see. All right, here's the meat. I know all y'all have been waiting for. Changes to loot drops. While we do not want to prevent farming runs, we get it. Yeah, I mean, it's a looter. The loot cave discovered via the triple chest run, as well as the store exploit, do not feel to be within the spirit of the game. To that end, we're going to be redirecting farming efforts to mechanics in the game that may be more enjoyable for players to play through and repeat. So, epic items will no longer appear in shops and vendors within the demo, within the demo. That's a key aspect there. Chests will no longer drop legendary items, and that's not classified as the demo. And then side quest rewards on repeat runs will now have a chance to drop legendary weapons. I'm gonna start with you, Vulkan. Is this good? Is this bad? What's your take?
So I'm mixed. So the epic items, I think that makes total sense. Them not appearing in the demos, fine. We weren't supposed to have access to them to begin with, and manipulating the clock is something that it's an old school trick. But and kind of a minor segue there, somebody in my Discord, I haven't tested it yet though, but they said you can, if you manipulate the clock and you buy an item and you go back, it'll actually remove the item from your inventory and you'll still have the scrap charged. So I haven't tested that yet, but curious to see if that's another thing that they kind of put in there. As for the chest not dropping legendary items, I'm not a huge fan of that. I think there was a really good conversation that I was a part of, and they were talking about let's have chests drop from bosses. Mm-hmm. Those can have legendaries. Higher world tiers, those can have legendaries, but just have a kind of like a threshold almost. I think removing them completely out of chests, that's going to invalidate chests at higher world tiers. Mm-hmm. Why would I stop for a chest if it's going to drop something that I don't really need? So I don't really want them to do that because that's going to remove a total game feature. And then side quests dropping legendary rewards, I really like. One of the things I really liked about Destiny 1 was a chance at an exotic bounty whenever you turned a bounty in. So having that kind of just like, oh my gosh, hype moment when you get a legendary reward is going to be really, really cool. So I like that they went that direction with it.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Cass?
Me, I think the side quest having the actual legendaries is a really good thing. I said this in my video recently as well. It's one of the features that I actually really, really think they did well in actually doing. Removing them from the chests entirely, I think, is the wrong move. It's just going to completely undermine them. But they have said on Twitter that this is something they're looking into as a long-term thing to try and find a solution, because they don't themselves believe completely and utterly removing it is the right solution. But they also don't want people to just farm them all day and get legendaries that way. They want people to earn their legendaries through actual gaming mechanics, the fun way. So it should come back at some point, but probably with a really, really low drop rate to make it worthwhile. Epics from the vendors, I think that's fine. I've got no problem with that. It's a demo. We weren't supposed to have access to it anyway. But yeah, I think the side quest rewards is great. I think that should have been there from the very beginning. Really not sure why it wasn't. Removing them completely from the chests, as in for the entire game for the time being, I think is a knee-jerk reaction for them just to get a handle on the thing and decide how they want to go forward with it. And I'm okay with that. They've openly come out and said that this is what they're doing. This is where they're at right now. They are looking into ways to reintegrate it. And, that level of transparency, I'm okay with, because they just haven't just said, we're removing it, and that's the end of that.
Johny.
The thing that I found probably the most interesting out of it all was you can get legendaries in the demo, but now you can't even get epics. I thought it was kind of weird that a legendary could drop from any mob or any chest to begin with, but yet you couldn't get epics. I found that kind of curious, and I wasn't even actually the one who pointed it out at first. It was actually my buddy Trent, who's actually hanging out in the chat. He's the one that actually pointed that out. He's like, it makes no sense that you can get legendaries, but you can't get epics. And then it was like maybe the very next day, that's whenever somebody posted on the official Discord that, hey, they pop up in vendors. So I find it curious that they would make changes to the legendaries in the demo, but then just remove epics entirely. Why not just remove legendaries entirely and just, make epics or something like that? But yeah. I think they could have given epics the exact same treatment, like give you a chance for them to drop from the same side quests, but to remove them entirely, but leave legendaries in there, it almost doesn't make any sense. And I would be actually curious to see a statement from them as to why they made the decision that they did to do it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that because I have a thought, but Soro and then Chaos.
Honestly, I don't have any problems with it at all because I'm switching from Steam to Stadia, so
he's losing all his progress. And his point isn't valid.
But I get what they're trying to do, where they're coming from with it. They don't want everybody to be super maxed out whenever the game actually launches, which makes sense for the length and the life of the game.
Chaos.
So.
Yeah, so what I was going to say was, with legendaries, the drop rates from those chests or from the bosses are extremely low. Mm-hmm. However, the epics, which are supposed to drop from World Tier 6 or 7, I believe, according to the devs, if they were to drop now, would have a much higher drop rate, especially if they were going to integrate them into World Tier 5. Mm-hmm. So you'd expect to see a lot more of them. And like Soro just said, it's a way of just gating us so we're not over-leveling within the demo. At least that's the way I see the thinking process behind not putting epics, because having you all blue going into the demo, I mean, you're going to be drowning in epics anyway by the time once the game comes out, but it's just them just trying to curb the process. At least they're not curbing the XP, right?
It doesn't sound like they're messing anything with the XP. But to speak on that note, like talking about the drop rate of the legendaries, because I'm glad you brought that up, because that was going to be my thought, is that I honestly hope legendaries are insanely rare. Like, I want them to be as rare as they are now, because I think that's going to make them really exciting to get. And when it comes down to the power, even in all blues, I feel powerful. Those mods change the way you play. They change how you approach. Like when we talked earlier about like our impressions, like once I got in the weapon that you're seeing me use right here on my Technomancer is Thunderbird. And it completely changed the way I play Technomancer, because I can actually be a little bit more aggressive and upfront and personal, as opposed to like typically wanting to play Technomancer at a range, especially with their abilities and the different options they have. So a legendary can change the way you completely play your class. I feel like, and that's the most exciting thing. And that means just like how, Johnny's putting out builds, I'm sure we're all going to be putting out different build videos and more like that. Be sure to go sub to these guys as just kind of a show check-in. Be sure to go in the links of this video. Go check out their content if you don't follow them already. Also, check-in, guys. Random, 5 million likes on this, and I'll shave my head on stream. So just as a reminder, thank you guys for your support. So that being that they have that impact, and being that the blues with their mods, with epics and their mods, like I don't think anybody's going to be sitting here saying I can't play this game at a high level if I don't have a legendary. I want legendaries to be just that holy crap moment. I can't believe I've got that. I've got that weapon now. And just because that's what keeps me going in. I actually don't feel bad when I don't get a legendary. I'm not opening that chest and I'm not killing that mob going, this sucks. I'm like, I'm having fun playing the game. And oh my God. And then you have those OMG moments where it's like, it's really impressive. And so that's honestly what I hope to see them carry forward. And then being that weapons and all this stuff upgrades by you inserting it, I think takes a little bit of that sting off of RNG. If you can continue to feed your gear and your weapons and stuff like that, every drop ultimately has a value and they're just going to range in your value. And if you're having fun game to play moment, that ultimately is the real takeaway winner there. All right. So I do agree on the chess thing. I think there has to be a solution. I think the solution that people have come up with now, like what people are doing now, doesn't live into the fun, right? It's you're just resetting and opening chess. Like, okay, you're just going to the store buying scratch off lottery tickets and you keep losing. But like if you're actually playing the game and having fun, moving the rewards, it seems like from the chest into side quests. There's no reason to turn in that side quest right now, and the next week turning in that side quest could reward you a legendary. I think that brings value back into the side quest in a way that's acting as a boss chest, right? Like I kill the boss and now I go collect the chest from the person who has that original side quest. I like that. What I would love to see, and I didn't see them here saying, can I just auto skip and accept the quest, please? Because the accept. Let's go run quest. Like that in and of itself is going to be the meme that Outriders is going to produce. Like, welcome to the Outriders game. This is what you're going to see. Lots of awesome action and anyway.
Someone needs to clip that. They really need to clip that.
We're on YouTube. You can't clip that. Oh, YouTube. The it's kind of they're kind of like the Cinderella story of YouTube of streaming. You almost have it right, and then it's midnight, and then we reset it. So all right. So other notes that they're going to be addressing: camera shake during cutscenes and dialogues. We kind of briefly touched on this. This is not something that we want to be able to address fully for the demo. It kind of makes sense to me personally, but we are aware of the desire from players seeing the shaking reduce. They believe removing the 30 frames per second restriction during these scenes will actually help reduce the impact of camera movement, but they're going to continue to investigate what's going to be done. Basically, translation, not in time for the full release of the game. They are aware of the feedback, and they'll update accordingly. It's not a toggle. There's no button like, hey, would you like the camera to shake? In that regards. Matchmaking, while the upcoming patch may help alleviate some of the issues that they're keeping a close eye on, in the time it makes the matchmake, and they're going to continue to investigate where such matchmaking is taking longer than it should. Here's my old man theory. I'm not old, but here's my old man theory. I think matchmaking is the dumbest thing in a PvE game. I have never in my life seen everybody coming out of a match-made PvE experience going, well, that was awesome. It's always, I can't believe this SOB over here didn't do whatever, and I was trying to res them, and then they just moved on. Case in point, every game ever. And other case in point, Avengers was the worst offender of it. Like, I get match made, and they're off running around doing whatever they want. I'm dead. Hoping maybe they'll res me, but you can't self-res because you got a teammate out there. So that's poor design. Avengers is a whole other story. But at the end of the day, like, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going to play with friends. Like, I'm kind of sad that it exists. Like, Minecraft Dungeons, the developer had the best line about it when asked about matchmaking. He goes, when was the last match-made PvE experience that you actually enjoyed? Like, yeah, wait a minute. Like, I don't mind matchmaking for the PvP side, and there's no PvP in this game, so farming doesn't break the game at all. Because, yeah, give me somebody to shoot at, but at the end of the day, like, you're like, wait a minute, like, am I holding them back, or are they holding me back? I don't know. Vulkan, what are your thoughts here, matchmaking? That's just my old man, like, old MMO kind of thing, like matchmaking.
Whenever I think about matchmaking in a PvE game, it's always either like World of Warcraft and going into like a match-made dungeon and how exciting that is sometimes, and other times not. But then I think at how frustrating it is sometimes when I can't matchmake for like a Destiny raid or Grandmaster Nightfalls and things like that. And that's like, I don't have any friends that play Destiny. and I would really like to play this, but I can't because I don't want to go post an LFG post, and that's just a lot of work. So I think having it in there is great. But to your point, I can definitely think of, 99% of the time it's, what is this guy doing? What is this person doing? Why am I carrying the team? Why is this happening? And so yeah, I think having the option's great, but I don't necessarily think removing it would be beneficial.
Yeah, I like, and don't hear me wrong, I'm not calling for its removal. I'm just at a core design philosophy, I'm like, all right, it's there as a checkbox, and I hope they fix it, because I know people do have, but I would say it's few and far between. Now Trent here is basically disproving me, saying Godfall has matchmaking. It's seriously the best. I want to go to my Godfall expert, Johny. How's the matchmaking? Is Trent a liar? Are we calling him out here on the podcast, or does the man speak truth?
Sarcastic as usual. There is zero matchmaking in Godfall.
I know. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh,
that's brilliant.
That's my buddy for you.
Yeah, that's why I highlighted it. I was like, yes, let's go. And I think essentially that's kind of where, like, it's when, like, friendship really is, I think, a key aspect to playing games. Like, I play games, play social. I love the fact that we got these great communities to kick back, relax, and have a good time. To highlight that, I think friendship is usually formed when people are usually moving in the same direction. So finding somebody who's got the same goals as you, especially with, like, in a video game, ends up being a greater fit. So you do have that. And matchmaking is an easy way to start that kind of light introduction. It's kind of that icebreaker situation where if you find somebody who's like, man, that's a really good player, let's see about teaming up again. That's where that becomes the exception. But I think it is the rule rather than the exception is when you have that good experience. And so ideally, if you're able to find people that you can play with, and the fact that this has cross play, well, I think will allow friends to be like, especially if you become friends after big game launches, like, oh, you're a PlayStation player, I'm an Xbox player, screw you. Like anyway, that's all pointless crap anyway. But the idea that it's like y'all can just jump in and play this game. Oh, you like Outriders? I like Outriders. We should team up. Like, oh, you're a Technomancer? Perfect. I'm a Devastator. Oh,
There is one thing that they have seriously and fundamentally messed up, though.
What?
No in-game voice chat. So if I'm playing on PC and cross-playing with someone on PlayStation who absolutely 100% is reluctant to use Discord, I can't communicate.
You got emotes.
There's no in-game text chat either.
You got emotes.
Yeah, that doesn't work. But yeah, I think they need to. I think that should be somewhere up there as a really high priority for them, especially in a cross-play game. They need to have some form of in-game communication, and I think it's really, really obvious right now when you're playing cross-platform with people that aren't, where you can't communicate with them because either they don't want to use Discord or whatever the reason is. It's a problem, and I really hope they find a solution for it because it can hurt crossplay.
I hope that, I hear you on that, because it just seemed like an interesting kind of thing to say. We're not going to have it. But they don't have a ping system either. And to be able to sit here and ping and mark a boss, to ping and mark an enemy, or to basically have some general, like, predefined kind of methods of communication for basic stuff, I think that would be something that would go 100 miles in this game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a weird choice, to not have that with crossplay. I think essentially that's kind of where devs get a look at it, and I'm not going to say that it's lazy. It's just like, are we going to compete with Discord now? Like, yeah, there might be somebody who's like, oh, I'm not going to use that. But that's where I hope that it's some theoretical future that, like, Discord can somewhat integrate with, PlayStation chat. So where, like, let's say you're friends, because, like, somebody's like, oh, there's security, and there's, what if you get into a meaning, like, I could be in a Discord call and I could invite somebody on Xbox and somebody on PlayStation, and then they're remaining in their Xbox ecosystem and on their PlayStation ecosystem. So you don't have to sit here and download an additional app, that these systems all just kind of start coming together to be self-integrated. I think that would be a good solution as opposed to like native, but yeah, go ahead.
Let's say, it could just be embedded into the game, right?
Yeah.
It could just be embedded within the game, and all it requires you to do
that'd be nice.
is log into, create an account and log in. You can create the account within the game, It's already embedded. Once you're in, you can choose to jump into that channel that you create or not, and it's really that easy. It just needs two parties to come together to talk, come to an agreement, and that could be the start of something revolutionary in video games. You wouldn't need a PlayStation party or a Xbox Live party or a PC party. In the end, Discord can cover it all, and it could be embedded into every infrastructure.
What's interesting, and Aodin points this out, Xbox and PC actually can utilize their own party chat. So it's really kind of only Stadia and PlayStation that ends up having to default to Discord, because if you're on PC, like there is a native Xbox chat party app. Like it's like you can just talk to anybody on Xbox and more. So it would be interesting to see, and really good point, Aodin. For bringing that up. By the way, Aiden does speed runs. We've been talking on Twitter, so we'll have to talk some more. That's actually one of the pieces of content I'm kind of looking forward to, but either making or watching, because like you're talking about, like, hey, what's this build and how quick can you clear the content? It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be kind of a fun spring for us and for this game. All right, let's go ahead, and I want to move into kind of the cover system, because I see also chat talking about it as well. Since the demo's launch, we have been paying special attention to all player feedback and have since been reading discussions about the cover system in Outriders. While it's not something that we will be able to fix within the demo at this time, the main game will not only include a slew of bug fixes for many of the cover locations, but will also address a fix for a handful of systematic issues that are currently affecting the cover mechanic on a global level. Soro, is this game a cover game, or is this game a chaos game? What do you think?
I mean, I utilize the cover whenever I can.
You're a coward.
Hey, when I gotta wait for my cooldowns to be ready again, yeah, I'm gonna hide behind some cover. But I also have noticed that certain covers, like wooden barricades or anything like that, if you're sitting behind it, they can actually be shut apart.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. I like that. It's like, yeah, okay, it's a barricade, it's cover, but it's not something that's going to last you.
Yeah.
So keep on moving, which I enjoy. That's a lot of fun. I can't just sit there for 10 minutes in the same, there's a sawhorse sitting there that's technically cover and it's indestructible. Nah, it doesn't work that way. You got to get behind something else or just push on forward.
Johnny, any thoughts?
I mean, it depends on what I'm playing with. I've been actually really enjoying Raw Rog's Gaze. I just put a video out on it yesterday. I do utilize cover for that maybe about a quarter of the time, but most of the time I'm still running and gunning a lot. But yeah, I mean, with my other build, using the Iron Maiden mod, I don't use cover at all. I just unleash hell basically and just, build my shields, generate my health, and I'm good to go. As long as I got something to shoot, I'm staying alive.
Chaos, does this solve any, or does this alleviate any concerns? Are you a cover mechanic man, or you were talking about Devastator earlier? So, what are your thoughts?
Me, I don't go into cover much at all, which is why I'm probably always dead. But no, I prefer to just run about and just shoot things with my shotgun and refill my health. The game is designed for that. It encourages that, and I'm grateful for that mechanic because it's nice for a game to say, we don't want you to go into cover. It's there, but just go kill stuff because that's how you're going to stay alive. And I'm okay with it. And the fact that you can go into cover, the fact that they gave you the ability, I think is a nice touch because every once in a while you kind of need to. But,
well, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
So Vulkan, did you run into any issues with the cover system as it's implemented, or like does this note speak to you?
Yeah. So the cover system, I'm kind of like a hybrid, right? I'll use it if I need to for Technomancer or things like that. But anything else, it's just freight train, just murder train running through stuff.
I find the enemies are oddly accurate, and I apprate that aspect.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so it's like you come out of cover, you're getting hit. Like it's Go, please continue.
But from a cover perspective, yeah. So I'm hoping some of the things they fix are rounding corners, making that a little bit more easy, because right now it's brutal to try to round corners on cover. Some of the cover is not. You can't dive into that cover for some reason. That object is not a cover, oriented object, I guess. So I'm hoping a lot of that stuff gets fixed. because there's been a lot of videos where it's like, hey, I can dive into cover right here, but I can't here. And then there's some issues when it comes to actually getting into cover for like animation canceling. If you're reloading and you're trying to get in there, it won't work. So hopefully all that stuff gets fixed. But at the end of the day, it's not a covered game. So just run through stuff, blow stuff up.
That's the funniest thing about the PR marketing. Every time I'm hiding, you're just kind of like, all right, gonna get a little bit of life, let my cooldown reset. I'm like, I keep in my mind, I'm like, I'm a filthy coward. I'm such a coward. Seth Stone says, what's this cover thing you guys keep talking about? It's all about rushing in. Screw that, LOL. So absolutely.
If it's there and it's a game mechanic, I will use it.
It is something that people called out, like watching other content creators and people saying like, hey, this is supposed to be a cover shooter, right? I'm not able to stick to this. And so there's obviously some bugs that it looks like they're addressing. And then essentially I think when the light switch moment happens with this game for them is when they're like, it's not about cover. Cover's not for us. It's for the enemies. That's for them to hide behind. And our job is to find ways to get and disrupt that and then just utterly destroy them. All right, so a couple of items here. Items disappearing. This issue that they're treating very seriously. I've seen some people, thankfully it has not happened to me, but I've heard stories from people within the community talking about like, yeah, I got this legendary and then I logged in and it was gone. It's like how utterly like frustrating that is. Now they say in the spirit of transparency, while they do not have a system in place that can automatically restore an affected player's complete inventory, our teams are nevertheless working hard to see what may be possible in the future. Once they've identified and resolved the underlying cause for the issue, as well as further investigate the feasibility of a restoration system, they will provide the community with an update to try and get affected players back on their feet. So they are aware of the issue. They do not have a solution to the issue. And unfortunately, if you get bit by it, it's a matter of wait. Now, as long as they are able to deliver on that, on a restoration system or being able to kind of help players out in that regards, I think ultimately they'll be good for the health of the game in the long term, because if they ever want to do some kind of event, who knows what they'll end up doing. But the ability to sit here and say, hey, by the way, we sent you guys in the mail something, like, hey, go have fun. And everybody can be excited about like that if they ever do that. But I'm happy that they're aware of it. It's important that they talk about it here. Anybody have any thoughts? Anybody get bit by having a piece of item disappear?
I haven't been bit by it yet, and I hope I don't. And for anyone that has been, it sucks. However, I am absolutely loving the transparency here. They could have sat on this. They could have kind of just, tried to give the whole PR speech, but they haven't. They've come out and said, look, this is a problem. We don't have a fix for it. We are trying to find a problem, what it is. And they have applied a fix for one of the other bugs where you lose items, where you lose connection during a transition. And that's apparently going to be fixed. But there are other issues. But I really like the fact that they're just coming out and putting their hands up saying, we know this is an issue and we don't have a problem for it. They're not just staying quiet about it. And it's weird because you don't really get that in this day and age from developers coming out with this level of openness, and I really like it. It still sucks that they don't have a solution for it, but I appreciate their honesty.
So, Resolve, totally mind-blowing. Thank you so much. Doing a super chat saying they are being very transparent and very pro-consumer, and I am very optimistic for the future. So thank you for supporting the podcast and the channel. But I want to kind of take your comment, and throw it back to Chaos as well. You and me, we got our hearts broke by Anthem. I would think a lot of people got hurt by that game, right? And Vulkan's shaking your head. So I want to get Vulkan's thoughts here. But is this different? Is there a different feeling? Are we just being suckered in by hype and being excited for a new game? Or is this legit different? Or is this a different situation than Anthem was 2 years ago? Chaos?
No, for me, it's very different. I've also had conversations with the community manager, Robbie, which was unheard of for me with Anthem. They were so uptight, they wouldn't tell you anything. And, having those back and forth conversations, it's really, really nice. And, just being able to get straight answers might not be the answer I want to hear, but getting straight answers is really amazing, because you don't have to sit there and twiddle your thumbs or just wonder what the hell's going on. They're very open about it, and I really like that. And this it's just a complete contrast from what we had with Anthem. With Anthem, it was all locked doors, keys, and everything the moment the shit hit the fan. And, seeing the contrast here, where there are issues, really serious issues like this one, but they're willing to come out and talk to you about it, let you know what's going on, and let you know what the situation is. To me, that bodes really well for the dev team, the community team, keeping that relationship and that respect backwards and forward going. And it also, makes you want to support what they're doing more because they're in it with you rather than just for the money.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they are in it for the money, of course. But, they're in it with you. And I like that.
Vulkan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Chaos, I think you hit the nail on the head. This is very different from Anthem. Anthem was really we're keeping everything close to the chest. A lot of kind of contradictory answers when we asked questions about it. And it was almost like, pulling teeth when we were just trying to get some basic stuff. And also I think, because a lot of people were comparing this to Anthem, this seems like more of a fleshed out idea. They have a vision, they have leadership, pushing that vision. They have the people in place to kind of continue driving that. And they're not trying to market or upsell or anything like that. This is not a games as a service. This is a complete package. We delayed it because of this. Will we have future content? Maybe. If you guys really like the game, then sure, we're open to, making expansions for it. But it's not, there's not a lot of leading you on conversations or topics. And yeah, so I just feel like that's probably the big difference that I see.
Well, that's excellent because I definitely agree with it. The only concern I have is that the game is popular, people love it, and then it's like, oh, where is there more? And then it's like, no, not for a while. Like you gotta wait, and that ultimately is a healthy thing. Kicking back, playing multiple games, God forbid. But at the core of it, it's like, yeah, like you guys are gonna have to wait a little bit for the next thing to drop, etc. But I'm loving the universe. I'm loving what they're seeing, and honestly, I'm just hoping for the best. I think as gamers, it would be awesome to have a big win this year. Last year really was a rough year for everybody. We don't need to rehash it. We were all there. But at the core of it, it would be really exciting to sit here and be like a surprise hit coming out. Helping to kind of address all the naysayers. And that's what I think, like, and chat and brought it up, talking core about, it seems like People Can Fly, like, looked at some of the real core issues, the real pain points within the looter itself and is addressing it. Meaning you don't have to wait till the end game to play the loot game because it's happening every step of the way. Oh, you want to be super powerful and crazy? Go nuts. That's the fun aspect and getting you hooked and having a fun time. The fact that people are playing the demo, farming the demo, streaming the demo, and it's mind blowing that it's already had that kind of reception. If they can carry what they've already showed us continually forward throughout the entire expansion or the entire game and into the end game, I think it's going to offer a lot of value to people. Now, somebody asked me earlier today, like, hey, is it worth it? Is it worth the $60? And I go, based off of what we've seen and what they've shared us, I'd say no. And I would say, wait, if you're interested, because if you're just here for a story, it's 35 hours. I usually weigh a dollar per hour of joy. So I would say if I can get 60 hours of fun out of this game, it's worth it for the cost of $60. If you're going to play less than that, wait till it goes on sale or probably into Game Pass next year. Like, there's going to be plenty of options. Everybody's got their own value of definition of worth. You got to have to find your own. I play these kind of games like crazy. I've spent $0 and I've already gotten halfway there, right? So as soon as the game's out, I only have to beat the story for me to get the value of the cost of it. But that's just at its core principle. Does anybody want to weigh in on what we're on this discussion? Johny and Soro, I don't want to exclude you from it. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. Like Chad is saying, Anthem burned a lot of people, from the very beginning, whenever the community coordinators, started doing these little public streams and, come watch this. And they didn't even know their own game. Mm-hmm. They didn't know their own game at all. And then, like Vulkan said, a lot of it was just misconstrued, very misleading. And, Chaos said lock and key. I think that was very appropriate. It was very lock and key. And then you got these developers and their community coordinators. They're not being overly transparent. And I think that's a good thing, because when you're overly transparent, that in itself almost becomes suspicious to a degree. It's like, why are you guys telling us like every little nitty gritty piece We don't need to know all that. Are you guys, by chance hiding something in what appears to be the truth? They're just saying, very, like you said, Brian, being very matter of fact, here's the issue. This is what we're working on. We don't have a solution, but we are working on it. That type of transparency, I think, is exactly what this genre needs. Because let's face it, over the past, 2.5 years, we've had nothing but disappointment. Straight up, nothing but disappointment. And I think overall, Outriders is setting itself up very well because they're not overhyping their own game. Us as content creators, we're doing that hype for them, and they're able to capitalize on that passively. And Outriders is shaping up to be a game that really, based off of just the demo downloads, and I was talking about this last night in my Discord, they've got 2 million demo downloads, right? Across all platforms. Even if they only get half of those as pre-orders, that's $60 a pre-order at 1 million pre-orders. So they're already setting themselves up. Right now, they're, the little jingle bells are going off in their heads saying, hey, we got a good game. And they're probably already starting to move forward with plans for a DLC, almost guaranteed. If they're not, that's just silly.
Soro.
So I do really appreciate them being this transparent, because I'd rather them be this transparent and tell us the nitty gritty about, hey, we're fixing this. We know this is an issue. We know this, instead of later on it becoming an even bigger issue. And then everybody going, oh, this game's crap because they didn't fix this when they should have.
Yeah.
It's like they're telling us ahead of time what the issue is, so we don't come out later and say, no, don't like it anymore because you didn't fix it.
The principle here is that when the foundation is rotten, it's really hard to recover and build on that. It feels like right now, every bug and thing, and it's like that's kind of more quality of life. I don't feel like the loot sucks. I don't feel like the gameplay sucks. I don't feel like the ability to jump in and have crossplay sucks. Like all of that is like, okay, here's the litmus test. You've passed. Then it's about kind of refining some of those edges. Like, okay, turns out people like don't like, watching the same cutscene over and over. Like some of those things that just kind of say, hey, let's remove, like, I'm fine with the fact that it has a story. If you don't like the story, I don't care. Like, it's like, I'm going to enjoy the story. I want to know more about the world and the characters. And then once I have that, then it's going to be like, how can we gamify? How can we have fun? How can we remove obstacles to play and enjoy the game itself? And so at the core of it, I'm excited. That's one of the reasons why I've been following this game for well over a year, while I'm excited that so many people are coming and checking it out for the first time, and that the demo carries on. The demo is not this one-time early pre-order beta basic, like whatever. It's like, hey, and then here in a month, let's say only 1 million people get the game. The game still is up. People are having fun. People are playing it. We're talking about it. Hey, and the thing that all of us here can say to any of our friends is, go check out the demo. Because if you don't like that, you're not going to like the rest of it. But if you do like that, we can then be able to share what the rest of it is. Because I can't sit here and tell you if we're going to like Endgame. Endgame could be garbage. We could all be sitting here like, woo, they missed hard on that. Well, $30 game sounds like a great experience. But we can't say that just yet. So we'll ultimately have to wait and see. Now, final thing on the show before we wrap up, try to keep these around an hour and a half. We're coming right up on the high end cap here. Cheating of players using obvious exploits. We're aware a handful of players are using third-party software to alter the game files and save data in their favor. Shocker. While we cannot go into details in order to not give such players insight into their systems, we would like to assure regular players that we are able to identify cheaters with relative ease via our backend system, and that their actions should not affect your regular playing or your co-op experience. I don't know how they would. It's like if in a PvP game, that would be a real scary thing. In a PvE focused game, someone goes off and cheats. Okay, like you're not hurting me. Am I wrong about that? What do y'all think?
I disagree.
Okay, go ahead.
Because if, let's say you're playing the game normally, you've geared yourself up, you're playing the game as it's naturally intended, and then I come along with my 10 million DPS shotgun and go, oh, look at that great boss, bang! You didn't see a single mechanic. It's just dead, and I've just got a 1-kill shot on everything. that would ruin your experience.
But what if you earn that experience? Like, what's the difference between you cheating and getting that experience and you earning that experience and coming into the same thing?
But you can actually make it more powerful outside of what the game is intended.
Oh, okay. So yeah, okay, gotcha. I hadn't really looked too much into the cheats. The only one that I tested out was the setting your clock forward to reset the vendor, because it's like, all right,
there are ways where you can actually make yourself a hell of a lot more powerful than the game intends. And you know, we've seen this in the Division as well, where you were doing 33 million headshots and 50 million headshots when you wasn't intended to do that. So people were just taking out bosses in one hit. And to me,
power dupe.
that was really impacting my experience, because I want to, you know, experience the game the way it's supposed to be experienced. I'm not there for the speed run. I want the full experience. I want to see those mechanics. I want to see those interactions. But if someone comes in and does something like that, that can ruin your experience. And I think there's a fine line between it. If it's just them having better gear and moving on, whatever. But if it gets to the point where they can one-shot things, then that's, you know, not natural to the game. Then that's a problem.
Anybody else?
At least that's my opinion.
Yeah. Anybody got a follow-up?
Yeah. My opinion on it is, you know, not that I disagree with you, because I see
It's
both
okay.
sides of
I
it,
can
you
always
know,
just remove you from the thing. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I see both sides of it, but me, you know, I tend to be very much on the legal side of things. You know, you're dealing with somebody's intellectual property, and there's a lot of man hours and a lot of jobs that went into manipulating the code and creating the game that we're supposed to be enjoying. So when someone is using a trainer and they're injecting their own code and modifying the game files, you're theoretically, I mean, not theoretically, you are breaking the law. You're violating copyright laws galore, and, you know, to take the whole aspect of ruining somebody else's gameplay out of it, you know, you're breaking the law, period. You know, so it's wrong, you know, and we're not talking about people that are using macros or anything like that, because macros are non-invasive. We're talking about the invasive programs, you know, the trainers, which have been used for years. And, you know, there's actually been litigation. If I remember correctly, I think Square Enix several years ago brought litigation against several individuals because they were, you know, modifying game files for a game and actually farming the currency for that game and then selling it on the market, and people were buying it. You know, so it's a very heavy legal issue, and I'm completely against using trainers. I think it's ridiculous. And, you know, I think it was on day number 2 or 3 after the launch of Outriders demo, I stumbled across a video where some numbskull got on there and was accusing everybody that got a legendary of using a trainer. And he's like recording it on his phone of him using a trainer. And meanwhile, literally the night before, I got a legendary, my very first legendary, on stream. And it's like, you're really going to accuse the whole community, those of us who are playing legitimately, and you're going to accuse us of using a trainer whenever you yourself are using a trainer? it was a positive. It just blew my mind. I'm like, and that was whenever I actually became aware. I was like, man, like people are still doing this. Like, what the heck? I mean, it to me is just appalling to use a trainer. I think it's just ridiculous. And I hope they severely get punished. But that's just me. I'm kind of vindictive like that.
Johnny's calling for street justice, everyone. Now,
with the head. No,
I want to jump to Soro, but I want to kind of highlight Aiden's comment here saying, I think hacking is unacceptable at all. In terms of PvE, if they end up adding any kind of in-game leaderboard like speedrun boards, they ruin it. Soro, what do you think?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I do agree with that. And I appreciate that Square and Outriders and everything, they have, you know, their legal system. They have some way to catch these people doing this, right? With that in place, I'm going to play the way I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if taking a shot in the dark to not get caught cheating and everything is the way that you want to play, that's on you. That has nothing to do with me. I'm going to play the way I want to play. And with games like this, it's going to be playing with people like you, Brian, and, you know, a couple of my other buddies and stuff like that. And I'm not going to deal with that. You know, I mean, I see where everybody's coming from with it. I see, yes, it's bad. I see why people do it. I see why people don't do it. It's just it's not my cup of tea, but if that's what you want to do, then that's you do you, boo.
So we got Johnny Street Justice Mac, and then we've got Soro Live and Let Live cooldown. So there we go.
I'm Switzerland in this situation, man.
Well, Vulkan, what are your thoughts, man? What, like you've been up there thinking?
Man, I agree with Chaos and Johnny.
Street justice, let's go.
It's street justice, it's mob justice, it's 100%. Like, you get partied up with somebody who's just, buff to hell, and they just blow through everything. It's not fun. It ruins everything. I saw a screenshot of a piece of pyromancer gear, and the armor on it was like 26 billion or something, and they put every attribute on that piece of gear, and it was ridiculous. So yeah. Street justice, let's go. Take care of them.
Team Street
Hashtag.
Yeah, exactly. Let's
out.
Let's get
Okay,
that. Let's get that trending and literally confuse the internet. Like, what is happening over with the Outriders? We got a hashtag Team Street Justice versus Team Live and Let Live. I don't understand what the internet's doing today, guys. That brings us kind of to the final part of the show. It's been so much fun hanging out with all you guys, talking Outriders, and obviously we've got just under a month now before the full release. Let's start just kind of with shout outs and things like that. Vulkan, where can people find you? What do you got? Tell people where they can go and subscribe and support you and your content.
Sure, absolutely. So most of my content is on my YouTube channel, Vulkan ARPG. And I cover Outriders, looters, really anything that drops loot. You'll probably find it on my channel. I do have a Twitch as well. Usually I only stream if there's like big releases and things like that. A little bit harder with a newborn, but
you just gotta get the bouncer and just kind of like play and go. Yeah.
Just put him in the swing over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Special appearance. But yeah, so YouTube channel, and really appreciate being on the show, and it's been awesome getting to talk to everybody.
Chaos, how about you?
Yeah, I generally cover looter shooters, have been for a number of years now. I'm currently heavily covering Outriders, as well as a couple of other looter shooters on the side. You can find me on YouTube at ChaosPrimeZYT, and you can also find me on Twitter at ChaosPrimeZ. But yeah,
Johnny.
I've just been doing Outriders. You can find my content. I specialize a lot in builds. I'll be doing news, tips, tricks, all that good stuff over at youtube.com/C/Johnny Mac Games. I also do streaming as well, as often as I possibly can. Unfortunately, working a lot. I work crazy hours. A lot of times I got to get up at 3 a.m. So I can't be up super late at night a lot of times, but I do try as often as I can. And just been hanging out on YouTube trying to get that content out there.
Now, before I let Soro speak, DN21 Constellation here. We got to get him on. I like him. He's a great content creator hanging out in chat. Thanks for stopping by. I'll message you later, man. Thanks for coming out. But if you guys are interested, click his link. Soro, you're up, man. Where can people find you, and what kind of content you make?
So I'm gonna start getting back into live streaming again after the move. After adulting since the end of last year. Finally have a little bit of time to get back down and live stream back over on Twitch. Very small channel. Not a lot of people watching, but that's okay. I understand. You can find me at global_cooldown over on Twitch. Really just streaming whatever I feel like playing that day, be it Outriders, Final Fantasy, Destiny, PSO2, or any myriad of anything else, really.
He's a gamer, guys. He's a gamer. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. I like him a lot. And then for me, you're in the right spot. Thanks, guys. Like we said at the top of the show, we now have the podcast that's going out in MP3 form. So if you guys are interested, links will be all in the description. Links are all in the description for all these guys and these amazing content. So rather than follow me, I would really appreciate if you haven't followed these guys, go give them a shot. They're really what makes being a part of this community really spectacular. Again, Vulkan, congratulations on being a dad. Really couldn't be happier for you. It's awesome, especially when they start grabbing for the controller and they become your own personal modifiers to games.
Yes.
Like, well, I was doing great, but we decided to call an audible and somebody fell down. So it is what it is. Lots of cool stuff coming out. I did Death Monkey talking about New World, and yeah, I plan on covering that because I'm hopeful as always. I'm always rooting for games to crush and come out. And more. Is anybody here else interested in New World? Because we could probably do a show just on that. We got one. Vulkan, I knew I liked you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Johnny, all
Why
right.
not?
Hell yeah. We got chaos. We converted somebody.
Why not? I'll give it a go.
Well, you know, they
I'm
now
a
have
sucker for a good MMO.
5 dungeons coming out. We got a 5-man squad. We should do something about
Hey,
that.
there we go.
August
yeah.
31st, guys, on that. So, anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in for the live show, whether you're watching live with us or you're watching later on, on demand or whatever we call videos here later on YouTube. But for Epic Loot Radio, my name's Brian. You have just been informed our opinions, and we appreciate it if you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that share button, and share the content out with all those that you love. We love you very much. We'll see you soon.